Well, she spins fine. It's just really gooky in there. Yeah, I mean, my wheel spins over fine, and there's no shaft play, which is good. It's just caked up full of like real sticky. What is that? I mean, it's like gook. You all want more content of the Pursuit 3400? So be it. We're heading back to the marina, and today finishing up wiring the grounding wires on my rudders and the rudder shaft mounts that go through the hull of the boat, as well as, guess what, remember that AC pump I was talking about? Yeah, it's no good. So I'm replacing my air conditioning water pump. Hoping to get a few things done. Boat's running good. Pumping water pump impeller swap. Did a great job. For cooling, I need to monitor the engines a little while longer. I still think I need to open up the thermostat housing and check them out. This is how these things happen, you know? It's not like I'm taking the boat out of the water, doing a full restoration, boom, right in one foul swoop. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, which is typically how my projects go. And whether or not I finish them, that begs the question. This boat's a little different though. I think this one I'm gonna have to get to 100%. This is Boat Restoration by Ben. Thank you guys for watching. As always, like and subscribe. Here we go. You know, if you ever want to find the good boat projects, just walk to the back row of the yard that you keep your boat at. You'll find a few of them that haven't been touched in, let's just say, a long time. So like there's nicer ones there getting worked on. Yeah. Just go find the old derelict row. There's your next project. Well, here she is, looking good as ever. There up forward. You can see the boo-boo. Still there, still caulked. Nice big white gash. Now today, before we go on a cruise later, I like to tackle jobs in order of importance. And I would say replacing my air conditioning pump. See, 115 volt. We got 3 wires, hot, neutral, ground. Just a standard Dometic pump. This is actually a 1,000 gallon per hour pump, so a little bigger than what's in the boat now, but that's okay. I don't mind having more water flow, cooling my air conditioner. But like I was saying, I like to tackle jobs in order of importance. I would say that's more important. However, I've let the battery cable fiasco go on for too long, our ground cable fiasco go on for too long. So I'm gonna open this up so I don't have to do it anymore, get down there, replace them, and then we'll move on to the AC pump. So no, it's not the same wire gauge. I've got 10 gauge wire, old, 12 gauge wire, new. Really, we're just looking for a ground connection here. So I could have used 10 gauge, probably should have bought 10 gauge. I've got 12 gauge. It'll work just fine. And actually for these rudders, so they're not so dang stiff, this smaller wire will flex a lot easier as the rudders move. So there you have it. Now we'll get down below there and bolt each one of them in place. And I have an extra one too, because I actually broke the end off one of my wires that are down there, and I'm just going to replace the end. right, those two are installed, so I got that cable there. And then the new ground cap on that one cable there that actually ties it into everything, so. One done. Got plenty of slack, so I can go back and forth. Now, go over to the other side. Okay, got the other side in. Replace the one down here as well. So we're all capped up. Good to go. I'm gonna get out of the bilge. Move on to the AC pump. I don't know why, but it's so satisfying to throw away old parts that you've replaced. I love it. Well, I just discovered something awesome. So I had my little jumper seat over there in the corner, and it's got a little tag on it, and it triggers a sensor. And I mean, I knew it was supposed to do this, but I didn't realize it actually worked. When I hit my up switch for the engine hatch, it didn't go up. I was like, oh shoot, batteries are dead. Go up there, remove the cushion, goes right up. So the safety switch actually works. Pretty cool. So now, we talked about it before, but that pump I'm talking about is that blue guy right there. 500, looks like a 500 gallon an hour unit. So I'm gonna put 1,000 gallon in it. So once I bend over the engine, I think I ought to be able to get to it decently. And it looks like it has the same pump connections as the pump I'm installing, so that ought to be nice. All right, let me get to tearing it down. I guess for your reference, it's gonna be hard to film because it's in such a tight spot, but I'm gonna remove hose clamps, remove the plastic fitting on top, remove hose clamps, remove the plastic fitting on the bottom, convert those over to the new pump, unscrew that pump, clip my wiring, prep my wire ends, make sure I have the right ones in the right place, and then install my new pump, hook the hoses back up, and then do my wiring last. So hopefully it's plug and play. That was not nearly as bad as I thought. I have no idea how old this pump is. I know it ran, but the suction was really bad. 500 gallons per minute. I'm upping it to 1,000 gallons per minute with the new pump. This should be pretty easy though. Take this fitting off the front, put it on the pump, take this fitting from here. Don't even have to remove the hose clamps because somebody at some point installed a nifty little removal valve. That's nice. Then you guys can see down here, there's the inlet hose. That's the hose that goes to the HVAC unit. Here's my power wire. So I'll cut that up, splice it, and then there's the little pedestal it mounts on. So actually, not so bad. I'm just hanging over the engine right now, just like I did for the water pump impeller change. So, sweet. All right, I got the pump prepped, but my fitting here is too small. This was on the boat. This is the new pump, so I got to go get a 1 inch instead of a 3/4 inch 90-degree fitting, so it can fit my hose barb. But then I got my ends snipped. Gotta grab some cable wire connectors from the truck. So I'm gonna run to the hardware store real quick and then come back. All right, we're back. I got my 1 inch to 3/4 inch adapter. So that threads in there, no problem. Then I've got my 3/4 90, which will thread in there. And I gotta put Tef tape around all this stuff, but there's that. And then my 3/4 inch hose barb, which goes in the end there, and that was all with the boat before. So there we go. Now we get this all tightened up. I got my electrical connectors, which are back on the lily pad, and we can throw her back in. Okay, I just fished her in. Got a little less clearance by the engine over here. That's all right. I got my hose on, my hose clamps, my hookup to this hose right here. So I'll probably cut that zip tie so I can get it across. And the last thing is take my wires from both sides, splice those together, zip tie it back together, fire it up. Okay, she's in, wired up, zip tied, labeled, plumbed. We're gonna go ahead and start the motor and see if she works. All right, AC on. Unit initializing. Set her to 72. Just should flash. Click over to cool. And then trigger my took a second to prime, but there she goes. That were horrible noises. Horrible noises. Oh yeah, we got good water pressure. Let's go check the side of the boat now. Woo. She did not like waking back up. Oh yeah, that is a much stronger stream. Well, here's a nice little find. I just fired it up and tested it. That's why my RPMs aren't working. It's because this little fitting right here on the engine is broken off at this bus bar. So I'm gonna pull that wire, pull that screw, pull it out, put a new end on, put it back, good as new. Meanwhile, AC's been humming away. And it's drenched down here right now because I finally figured out why my freshwater pumps weren't supplying water to my cabin faucets, sink and galley, and it's because the little screens at the end of the faucets were full of junk. So I pulled those off, cleaned them out, good as new. So let me swap that wire real quick and I'll show you my RPMs work. Check it, we've been running for a little bit. Temperature is right at 160. I got my RPM back. 160. I'll take it. Another day, and we have been really productive this weekend. I'm heading back to the boat. I've got, well, I went and rummaged through my shed and thought to myself, all right, I got time. What have I been waiting to do on the boat that has just been sitting on the shelf? So I looked through the shed, and as every good boat restorer on a budget does, they slowly collect cool and intricate parts over the years. So I've had a bunch of electronics and spare parts sitting on my shelf in my shed for the Pursuit. You know, never thought it would be for the Pursuit, but here we are. So now I got time. I'm gonna take what I found is a Airmar tri-ducer. So speed, water, and sonar, water temperature and sonar. And I also found a remote chart instrument display for the tower. I need to get a wire or a cable that's long enough that'll reach the tower. But for right now, I'm going to install the remote chart display so I at least have some instrument and data on the tower, and then some sound dampening material, so I'm not listening to those turbos scream for an hour and a half as I shoot down the bay or head to a fishing spot. Definitely gets old after a while, and right now the only solution has been wear earplugs, which is not that fun. So anyway, pulling up here now to the marina, gonna run down to the boat, set up, and hopefully get some more things accomplished. So step one, we're gonna take care of the easy install. I'm gonna mark this so I can get my external unit placed right here. I've already checked down below. Next to the throttles, there's a bunch of room in there. And just gonna cut out a section. So that's where that's gonna go, and then I'll have to wire through there. I think there's a lead piece of rope somewhere that I'll tie to, but then pull my transducer wire through and plug it in there. So yeah, I'm gonna cut this hole, mount this so this is sealed off, but I probably won't plug that in until I get that extension wire and run it all the way down the tower, and then it's got a T in through the NEMA plug at the main display at the helm. All right, there you have it. Everything's covered in fiberglass dust now. And boom, there she goes. And I think it's pretty square. Looks pretty square. Now I need to go give myself a bath because I'm covered in fiberglass and it itches. You're probably not supposed to grind open like this, but whoever said you shouldn't be afraid of cutting holes in boats. It's kind of fun. Again, don't mind the B&G. Alright, well, you guys are awesome. One, because in the comments, this port motor takes a long time to spool, and when I dropped my last video, you guys saw the black smoke, and then I was explaining how this motor, when I push the throttles forward, it takes this one like 5 seconds to catch up and then finally spool and make enough boost to produce power and push the motor along and catch up on RPM. So a lot of you guys have been saying put ATF in the fuel tanks to clean out the fuel system, clean injectors, injection pump, carbon in the pistons and liners and everything like that. But I'm gonna pull these air filters. Let me just be honest, these are not great air filters. Lots of openings where stuff can get in. I'll show you the foam piece. I'm gonna pull this all off, and I'm gonna buy 2 K&N cone filters for the end of the turbos. But anyway, I'm gonna pull this off right now, check and see what kind of carbon and buildup is inside the turbo. If this thing's not spinning like it's supposed to, that's definitely where the problem is. So I'm gonna take a look at that, and you know, maybe these need to come off in the next month and be rebuilt. So we'll see. Well, let's see. She spins fine. It's just really gooky in there. So yeah, I mean, my wheel spins over fine. And there's no shaft play, which is good. It's just caked up full of like real sticky. What is that? I mean, it's like gook. Looks like my aftercoolers were cleaned at some point. But interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe if I clean that out, it'll help with the lag issues. Really, I probably should be looking at my turbine housing instead of my compressor housing, turbine housing. All right, well, I have the intake off. I'm gonna start up the motor and see if that turbo is spooling at idle. Should be, but anyway, there's just a lot of sticky gook in there, so. Good. So before I do anything with the turbo, I'm gonna put ATF in the fuel tanks. Yeah, before I do anything with the turbo, I'll put new air filters on it, but then I'm gonna put ATF in the fuel tanks. You probably clean that inlet out just a touch because it's open right now. So let's order some 4 1/4 inch air filters and try those instead of the old Volvo intakes. So quick catch here. I've known my port batteries needed to be replaced for a while, because they, one, won't start the engine, and two, we're throwing an air code, and when I load tested them, when I bought the boat, they were trashed. So I've been paralleling the house battery to start the port engine for a long time now. I got down here, I was feeling the batteries. They were very warm and starting to sizzle. So I'm getting rid of these things. A little sketchy, but I'm pulling them out right now, taking them to the battery store. Gonna go ahead and get 5 new Group 31M deep cycle batteries and just replace all my batteries. So those 2 are gonna come out and get replaced, and those 3 are gonna come out and get replaced, and I'm sure the boat will be much happier. So far this Charger's been fine. I might upgrade to a Victron at some point like I did the Sea Ray, but it's okay for now. And again, just stupid hot. Like I can't get away from the heat right now. Even though it's kind of cool out there. It's just a big heat atrium in here. But side note, I just finished getting all of my sound deadening along the entire radius or edge of my engine hatch. So when I go to start it next, seal this hatch up, hoping that really cuts down on the noise that these engines make when you're sitting directly above them. That was the most effed up way to get batteries out. There's not enough room here. No way in hell I'm going back that way. Look at them. Had to put them on their sides and rip them across the waste tank waste tank level sender, and I even broke off a fitting while I did it. But I had to go in and around like this hose right here, which was terrible. So, God, putting them back in is gonna be a pain. Well, here's the problem, guys. That's a hole. That is literally staring straight at the lead in the bottom of the battery, and that one wasn't too far away either. Not good. So thank God I discovered this, and I'm getting new batteries. Yeah, that's not gonna fly. Bad, bad. Definitely replace your batteries every 3 to 5 years. So this has been really cool. Real time, as my latest video is out, you guys have been commenting about my black smoke turbo issue and pointing me in the right direction. So this is awesome. So one, likely a turbo leak or a boost leak. Well, there is a black spot there from my rubber boot. So I'm getting a boost leak out of there, as well as here. Very nasty and sooty in there. And then you can kind of see some oil spray leakage on the oil cooler on the backside too. So I'm gonna, one, because this needs to be cleaned, pull this off, clean everything, and then reseal the mount of the compressor housing. And then another commenter mentioned that the turbine exhaust overpressure valve could be sticking. So I'm actually going to pull that valve off and clean it as well. So hopefully that's what my issue is. So thank you, gentlemen, in the comments. Alright, well, I did it. I got the compressor intake housing off, and it's a little gooky, not terrible. I'm gonna let it soak when I get it home and clean up all of that junk inside. But I'll show you. There's the O-ring, which is in good shape for the compressor wheel. My turbine, compressor turbine, which is fairly clean and spins really easy and has no shaft play. And then there's my intake manifold, which I now should probably pull this gasket off, clean that up too, vacuum out any of the paint that fell in there before I turn her back on next. I should probably replace this. But yeah, there you have it. See, look, I was getting a little seal leak past here, so you can see the oil that was carrying through the turbo. Yeah, it looks like that was leaking, so that may have been the source of my boost leak. Well, listen, for now, I'm not going to take that off. I'm going to leave it. Hope that this was the boost leak. And I'm also a little suspicious about that right there, which would be my after cooler gasket to my intake port on one of my piston, or one of my cylinder here. So let's see. You know, it kind of looks like a leak, but it also kind of looks like a spray. We'll see. I'll come down here and feel. Looks like an old leak, and I don't necessarily see signs of it anywhere else. It's also right underneath the intake manifold, or intake housing, air intake housing. So a little suspicious there too. But for right now, we're going to cover this up, leave this as it is, go clean this housing at the house, and then tighten all that stuff up real good when I come and put it back on. Alright, so here you have it. I took my turbo back last night, parts washed it. This was all black, filled with like this rubbery gook, which I've derived to say, I mean, these veins or inlets were nearly chock full of black stuff. But it's real sticky. I'm gonna think it's actually the foam intake material that goes over the air intake for these turbos, getting sucked in there and then just getting super hot and melting. It was all over the backside as well. But all that's been cleaned up now. I cleaned super good inside the venturi there inside. Now that's going to go back on, and I'm going to replace my rubber silicone intermediate boot here that goes from the end of the turbo into the intake pipe. So I bought a new 3-inch silicone rubber inlet with 2 new stainless steel clamps for it as well. And instead of using the old Volvo air intakes, which some people have said don't do this, but I bought a couple K&N air filters for the engines as well, so I don't have any worries about that old foam material getting inside the turbo. And they didn't have the best seals either, so it's probably good to just go ahead and upgrade to the K&N air filters, which may make my turbo noise even worse, but I just sound deadened the whole engine room seal, or I guess modified and improved the seal around my entire engine compartment. So turbo's going back on, new boot, cleaned up, new K&N air filters. Here's the old boot. I mean, you guys can see it's all cracked up inside. And I noticed some oil around the boot where air was getting out. So I'm hoping I had, 1, some restriction here, 2, a boost leak there, and potentially that solves my black smoke and throttle delay or lag, boost lag on this port engine. Hey, shout out to all you guys giving me suggestions on how to fix my boost lag and black smoke on this port engine. I really appreciate it, and I think your insight and help has led me to what the problem is. So here we go. These are going bye-bye. Those are the old Volvo air intakes. I'll have to relocate my oil carryover pipe here, and my little air filter that goes on the end of it. That's actually an oil catch and then drains back into the engine. So I'll relocate that, replace this side, and then that's that foam I'm talking about. So these I just replaced when I bought the boat, but I'm pretty sure the old ones deteriorated so bad they were just falling apart when I first bought the boat, that tons of this material was sucked up into the turbos and got them all gooky with that black, nasty, sticky stuff. Not bad, guys. K&N air filter. Look, I even put the K&N upright. Perfect fit. Perfect clearance to the intake pipe here from the downpipe on the turbo. That is awesome. Way better. Now I gotta pull the oil carryover loop off. But, you know, new silicone boot. I did not get the Volvo part because it was really hard to find and people wanted $50 for it. So here's a $20 one off of Amazon that is decent quality with stainless steel hose clamps. So boom. Hopefully that'll fix my little blow-by issue right there. New clean turbo, 10mm bolts all the way around with the clamp rings. Good to go. And then my little bypass line down there put on that goes over to my bypass valve. So let's try this setup. If we keep having issues, we'll dig deeper into it. All right, last thing's putting my carryover tube back on, and the only outstanding question is supporting. This hose is kind of cracked. So the only outstanding question is supporting the back side of this hose here, where the old air intake supported it. But for right now, I'm probably going to zip tie it to the oil cooler so it can't wiggle around too much, and I just want it off my new K&N air filter. So if it sits like that, can you see? If it sits like that, I think I'm pretty happy. I may change this setup in the future, but for right now, zip tying that right there I think is fine. And there's the old intake box. So new K&N turbo, old intake box. So you can kind of see it there. That is foam material that's been sucked out of the old foam, and this is that seal that really wasn't working that well. So I think this will be a lot better, a lot safer for the turbos, a lot safer for the engines to get rid of this old setup. And hey, gives me a little more space and access to my turbo. So check this out. I got this side ready, and I can already tell this turbo is in better shape, if not has been replaced at one point. Look how clean it is in there. My other turbo did not look like that when I pulled it off, and you know, sure enough, they spin the same, no shaft play. I mean, that's about as good as you can get. And look, not painted the same color, different boot on the end, different clamps, different clamp orientation. This is definitely a replacement turbo. So that is a good sign. Original, replacement. So we'll see if maybe that guy's going out here soon. I'll have to replace him, but that's pretty cool. I'll be able to spot a replacement turbo. Let's slap this K&N filter on it and button that guy up. So there you go. Out with the old. And in with the new. I like that a lot better. Opens up a lot of space. That is huge that is a replaced turbo. Pretty cool. And then not to mention, our last task of the evening, I got new batteries. So brand new $500 AGM Group 31 batteries. Looking good. The other ones were from like the early 2000s. And you know what, for your comic relief, I'll let you watch me wrestle these into place. New batteries are in, wired up, hooked up. Let's see if the boat wakes up properly. All right, it's going. Wake her up, battery charger. Battery switches. No, I don't need the parallel anymore. No more parallel. Let's turn some lights on. Would help if I. There we go. All right, engine, good voltage. House, good voltage. Battery chargers are kicking on. Let's check it out. It's the engine room light. Engine room lights. There we go. Good voltage, pressure, everything. Let's see if she fires up. That's a win. Tomorrow the boat gets hauled out and the bottom gets cleaned. Fits gross, and remember, when I was in New Jersey, it had been sitting on the hard for over a year, so the bottom was spent. So we're gonna clean it for now, not a new bottom, until another day. Let's see how quiet it is, even though only one's running. I don't know, that's pretty quiet. Yeah, that's really quiet. Sorry, I'm not running this engine because I left that key at the truck. But I'd say that's a win. Heck yeah. This sucks. There's no way. I can't get it out that way. It's got to come up and over the freaking waste tank. That sucks. Smashing wires. Using my hands, my foot. God damn it. How am I gonna do this?